Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you doing today? It's a lovely Saturday. Summer is back in Northern California, so it is again warm, so it's tank top and shorts weather. And I am coming to you with another huge book haul. Now, this is it. Once I'm done with this, I actually will have no more books to haul on my shelves, which is exciting because I just feel like I've been buying and buying and buying, and it's time to tell you all about it. So I'm going to try to rush through and not get this video too long again. So we'll go from there. The first book I'm going to tell you about is New People by Danzy, Senna. Now, there is an amazing review of this book on Chris over at Chris's Bookish Cauldron. So I will link that below for you. So if you want to go take a look at that. But this is just a new novel. I believe it's a debut novel. And it deals with two main characters who are mixed race and their relationship and dealing with their relationships within their family. That's all I really need to know about it. Chris said that it isn't unproblematic, but he also said that everyone should read it because it's a very unique and well thought out point of view on a topic that we don't get many novels about. So that's New People by Danzy, Senna, and the cover is kind of fantastic actually. The next book needs really no introduction, so I won't spend much time on Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. I loved Celeste Ng's first book, Everything I Never Told You. It may be one of my top 50 favorite books of all time. I figure if I give myself 50, there's a lot of leeway there. I loved it. She does small town America. She deals with just sort of that family dynamic. I think in this novel, it's a little community called Shaker Heights, I believe, and a single mom and her daughter move in and sort of all of the stuff that brings to the table. I don't want to know much more than that because I find Celeste can just suck me in and I am addicted to her stuff. So I'm sure a lot of people have read this. You've probably seen it everywhere, so I don't need to talk about it much. Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. Actually, a couple of these are going to be that way. The next one is Reservoir 13 by Jon McGregor. Now, I had to order this from England because the US copy has not come out yet. The US edition, I believe, comes out in October or end of October. Don't quote me on that. But this is the story. It was long listed for the Man Booker Prize. This is the story of a town where a little 13-year-old girl goes missing, and it's from the point of view of the community and also the town itself. I believe the town has its own voice. It was also just nominated for another award, and I can't remember what it's called, for sort of experimental fiction or fiction that uses language in a different way. So that's kind of exciting, a different, more avant-garde way to look at a story about a little girl who is missing. I'm excited about that, but again, this has been a little bit everywhere, so I won't spend much time on it. The next book I'm going to tell you about, first, let's all take a moment and just look at this cover. This cover is fantastic. And this is My Absolute Darling by Gabriel Tallent. Now, this book has gotten a lot of mixed reactions. I hear that it's also a very graphically violent book. So if that is not your thing, this may not be the book for you. But I'm actually going to read this one to you. It says, Turtle Alveston is tough. At 14, she roams the woods along the Northern California coast. The creeks, tide pools, and rocky islands are her haunts and her hiding grounds, and she is known to wander for miles. But while her physical world is expansive, her personal one is small and treacherous. Turtle has grown up isolated since the death of her mother, in the thrall of her father, a renegade survivalist whose towering eloquence can lapse unpredictably into violence. Turtle's social existence is confined to lonely days at a middle school, fending off the interests of anyone who might get close, to cribbage games with her declining grandfather, and to nights spent with her tortured father practicing for the end of the world. And I believe she meets a boy and kind of how that all goes. I'm excited about it. I've heard really good things. Again, that cover is fantastic. Was it an Amazon Book of the Month? I'm not sure. I got this at Books Inc., my local independent bookstore, and it's a signed first edition, so I'm excited about that. So that is My Absolute Darling by Gabriel Tallent. Has anyone read it? Can someone give me some direction on it? The next books that I am going to go over with you are all paperbacks, so that should be good. And the first one is The End of the Day by Claire North. Now, I was in Barnes & Noble, and I don't know, something about this cover was just enticing to me, so I pick it up. This is the story of Charlie. Charlie is the person who comes to you before death. And you know what, let me read the back. It's very short. Sooner or later, death visits everyone. Before that, you'll meet Charlie. You might meet him in a hospital, in a war zone, or at the scene of a traffic accident. Then again, you might meet him on the North Pole. Charlie gets everywhere. Would you shake him by the hand, take the gift he offers, or would you pay him no attention to the words that he says? Sometimes he is sent as a courtesy, sometimes as a warning. Either way, it will be the most important meeting of your life. Now, I read the first few pages of this in the bookstore, and it basically starts about Charlie making the decision to become the what's the word? I'm totally blanking. Harbinger. I'm totally butchering that word, of death. But I thought that sounded sort of interesting and a different point of view that I wasn't aware of, so I'm excited about that. So that's The End of the Day by Claire North. The next book that was sent to me was actually sent to me by the author, Tom Stern, and his publisher, which I believe is Rabbit something. Hold on, I'm totally blanking on the name of the publisher. Give me just a minute. Rare Bird Books. Sorry about that. Rare Bird Books. Tom reached out to me and said if I'd like a copy of his book, and I looked it up, and it sounds super interesting. It's about Walter Brahm, who finds out he's pregnant. He is pregnant with his own twin birthday. Let me start that over. It is the story of Walter Brahm, and he is pregnant with his own twin brother. Does that make you more interested? Because that's kind of what got me interested. It says it is an exceedingly freaky manifestation of a rare medical condition called Vanishing Twin syndrome. But it is also a sudden thorn in Walter's psyche, bringing into question most everything he thought he knew about himself. To make matters worse, when his twin is born, he is born a genius with fresh eyes on the world. And Walter is forced to face the self-doubt and personal recrimination that has stunted his growth for years. So, one, I think the cover is very cool. Reminds me a little bit of the cover, my cover of The Unbearable Lightness of Being by Milan Kundera. I think the concept sounds super interesting, so I'm hoping it's pulled off well. That's The Vanishing Twin by Tom Stern, and sent to me by Rare Bird Books. Okay, this next book is crazy, guys. So I found a hardback book and I picked it up, and it was the second in a series. And when I read the back of it, I was like, this can't be true. So I picked up the first book, which is out in paperback. And it is based on a true story. Let me see. It says, based on the actual historical event told through diaries of the story of a remarkable woman who travels west in 1875, and marries the chief of the Cheyenne Nation. Now, this is based on a true history where the American government in the late 1800s traded 100 women for 300 cattle. Yes, I just said the American government traded 100 women for 300 cattle. Now, those women were thought to be on the bad side of life, so they were prostitutes or women who made decisions that society did not approve of at that time. The main character of this book is actually fictional, but she has been put, let me just see, she's been put in an asylum by her blue blood family for the crime of loving a man beneath her station. So she is one of the 100 women that is sent out to the Cheyenne Nation to marry an Indian chief. Now, one, I thought that was fascinating. One, that it's true history, so I'm hoping I'll learn more about that. And the fact that it is sort of a tale in the late 1800s about a woman going out into the Midwest. I love the idea of that. The historical fiction nature of it all. It was a regional book award winner, and that is what, I haven't even told you the name of the book. That is crazy. 1,000 White Women, The Journal of Mary Dodd, by Jim Fergus. And is it 1,000 women? That would be crazy. I thought it was 100. But whatever. It's way too many. That's just a crazy idea. If it's 1,000 women for 3,000 cattle, I apologize on missing a zero. But either way, it's too many. It's a crazy idea. I like the idea of a strong woman going out to the Midwest and learning about a culture and all of that. So I think it seems very interesting. It has a blurb on it by Jim Harrison, who wrote Legends of the Fall, which I find to be an excellent recommendation. So that is 1,000 Women by Jim Fergus. And there's a sequel out in hardback, so if I like it, there's more to come. Okay, a few more. Swallowing Mercury by Wiolette Gregg. I'm not going to talk about it much because it was shortlisted for, was it shortlisted? Longlisted for the Man Booker last year, but the American version has just come out, published by Transit Books, who published Kintu, which I know that I recommended to a lot of people and they loved. This says in the author looks back on her close-knit agricultural community in 1980s Poland. Her memories are precise, intense, distinctive, sensual. A playfulness and whimsy rise up in the gossip of the village women, rumored visits from the Pope, and the locked room in the dressmaker's house, with political unrest and predatory men cast shadows across the bright portrait. In prose that sparkles with a poet's touch, Wiolette Gregg's debut animates the strange wonders of growing up. She has been around the U.S. right now. I've seen a bunch of stuff on her on Instagram and stuff, so you may be able to catch her. And that is Swallowing Mercury by Wiolette Gregg. And that cover is pretty fantastic. Transit Books could turn out a book. They're small. They're local to me, so I'm a fan. The next book was also sent to me by the author, and I have to say the post office did a number on this one, so I apologize. And that is The Reluctant Fortune Teller by Keziah Frost. And Keziah, I am probably saying your first and last name wrong. But she reached out to me because you know how I am for a book about an old person. I love them, love them, love them. And this is a story that fits right into that for me. And so when I read about it on Goodreads, I was like, yes, please send me a copy. It comes out in March 2008, and it is published by Park Row Books, which I think is a subsidiary of HarperCollins. God, that took a long time to get out. Sorry guys. Norbert Zelenka has always lived life on the sidelines. It's how at 73 years old he finds himself broke and alone, except for the company of a chihuahua. But when Carlotta's Club, three strong-willed seniors with a flair for drama and plenty of time on their hands, decide to make Norbert their latest project, he reluctantly agrees to their scheme. With their help, he establishes himself as the town's fortune teller and soon finds his life changing in unexpected ways. So I think that sounds really fun and fantastic. I'm hoping, I love the little chihuahua on the cover and him sort of juggling the tarot cards. I think that sounds very fun and very much me. So I hope to get this eventually soon. But I will say the post office did no love for this book, unfortunately. It's been beat up a little bit. So that is The Reluctant Fortune Teller by Keziah Frost. You can follow her on Instagram and Facebook. She has a pretty good book page about her book coming out if you're interested in looking that up. I think she lives in Chicago. The next book I'm going to tell you about I found at Santa Cruz Bookshop, which may be my fourth or fifth or top 5 favorite independent bookstore, and that's All We Shall Know by Donal Ryan. And it says, Melody, she is alone and in trouble. At 33, she finds herself pregnant with the child of a 17-year-old traveler boy, Martin Toppy, and not by her husband. Melody has been teaching Martin to read, but now he's gone, and Pat leaves too, full of rage. Trying to stay in the moment, the future looming, while the past won't let her go. The good thing is that she meets Mary Crotchety when she does. Mary is a bold young traveler woman, and she knows she knows more about Melody than she lets on. She may just save Melody's life. So I thought that sounded really interesting. I'm all about people making poor decisions and what sort of dealing with them. I don't know. I'm really excited. The Guardian says that it's an extraordinary portrait of adultery, loneliness, and betrayal in a closed small-town community. That's All We Shall Know by Donal Ryan. Two more guys. You Know Me Well by Nina LaCour and David Levithan. And this is interesting. This is the story of two people, Mark and Kate. Mark is a gay man, Kate is a lesbian woman. And it's how they sat next to each other, but their lives never crossed until they both, I'm just going to read the back to you, because it's a convoluted sort of story of how they intertwine. They sit next to each other, and their paths have never crossed. That is until Kate spots Mark miles away from home, out in the city for a wild, unexpected night. Kate is lost, having just run away from a chance to finally meet the girl that she's been in love with from afar. Mark, meanwhile, is in love with his best friend Ryan, who may or may not feel the same way. When Kate and Mark meet up, little do they know how important they will become to each other, and how, in a very short time, they will know each other better than any of the other people who are supposed to know them more. And it's told in alternating points of view, one written by Nina, one written by David, one from each character's point of view. So I thought that sounded really good. Actually, this is a book that Dan picked up for me. You know, if you watch our Partners Tag, that he will pick up books for me, read the back, and say you should get it. This is one of them. So I'm really excited about this. You Know Me Well by Nina LaCour and David Levithan. Last but not least is another book that I don't have to talk too much about, and that is Tipping the Velvet by Sarah Waters. I was inspired by Dave over at Wild Reads and Laura over at Lauren in the Books. I said Laura. Lauren over at Lauren in the Books. And they have been raving about Sarah Waters. I have wanted to get into the Sarah Waters train. I know Simon just picked up some more Sarah Waters too. I think one of her books is in his 5-star TBR prediction. Fingersmith, I think, made it into that video. I've never read any Sarah Waters. I started the audio of The Paying Guest and it didn't work for me. Not that I didn't like the writing, I didn't care for the narrator. So I may be trying Sarah Waters basically in written form only. And this I'm not going to talk much about. It's about a woman who's infatuated with a male impersonator and sort of how that all goes down. Sarah Waters is known to be atmospheric. She's known to be slightly mysterious and scary and sort of have all of the feels for an October read. So if you haven't read any of her, I would recommend reading some of Sarah Waters because I think she's fantastic from everything that I've heard about her, and one of those authors that I can't believe I haven't read. So that's Tipping the Velvet by Sarah Waters. So again, guys, another almost 18-minute video. Another huge book haul. I hope you liked it. Have you read any of these? Let's talk about it below. As always, if you are a return subscriber, welcome back. Love you guys. Comments down below. If you're new, hi. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for coming along. Until next time, happy reading, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.